I cannot believe you guys do not know what this drink is, alright? I'm gonna need all of you to accept this L humbly that I'm about to hand to you. There it is. Take it with stride, alright? Accept it, look at it, take it all in, pause. That's for you. That's for not knowing this beautiful creation that is Vernus. I didn't even know, to be honest, that Vernus was a product that only existed in Michigan. I thought everybody knew about it, but yeah. Oh, I know there's 1,000,001 of you guys. Yeah, that makes sense. There's 1,000,003 of you guys that are always asking how I feel about the XXL Cypher now that it's over. A couple DMs, a couple people asking me, so I thought I'd give my opinion on the entire thing and why I felt it was underwhelming. If you read the title, please don't be butthurt. This is just my opinion. Have one of your own and we can all live happily ever after. How do I feel this XXL Freshman Cypher was in comparison to previous years and, you know, performances that actually left an impact or left some type of mark? When you're comparing lists, I would really recommend you get all the pros out of the way before you go and compare something like this year's list to last year's list or the list before that. I'd like to give a little list of the people I felt did the best on this cypher as well, but we're just gonna randomly talk about these people. So the first person I wanted to speak on is Kamaiyah. Kamaiyah, in my opinion, isn't an artist out of this cypher that I expect anything more from at this point. I feel like most of her gimmick, and not trying to say it as if it's a bad thing, because all these artists, every artist has a gimmick. They have this trick or this knack or this niche that triggers people to view them as more valuable than they would naturally be without it. Unfortunately, I hate to say this about Kamaiyah, but I'm gonna have to refer to someone else's comment when they said, hey, I only think this girl sounds good when she's saying why you always hate, and that's the only time she needs to open her mouth. That's not what I'm saying, please don't find me. But I am saying that she does tend to go with this style that is very low-key, it's very consistent. I don't want to say repetitive because it sounds nice on some songs, it sounds bad on some songs. When you come with this cypher, she didn't have much energy, she didn't bring that much to the table as far as getting people hyped up or pumping anything up or continuing the flow of energy, switching up her own flow and or cadence. I felt like a lot of what she did relied on what's made her popular in the West Coast, which, in my opinion, if you're rapping on a beat that's not so West Coast, you have to do something that's going to complement a different style of rapping, which in my opinion she did not. And I honestly think that could be issues when collaborating with artists that don't maintain that sound. She's very popular in the West Coast. She's known for collaborating for YG, but even on Lil Yachty's newest album where she was featured, it was a West Coast sound, or it was a sound that was kind of added to or had West Coast vibes added to with the addition of YG on that song. When it comes to collaborations, I don't see her being able to do it successfully with artists that are from different parts of the world because her sound is just so stuck in its own way, in my opinion. Next person I'm gonna talk about is Madeintyo. I don't know what it is, but this guy I just feel like he brings absolutely nothing to the table for this freestyle, this cypher. I don't feel like he added anything. I felt like if he was in the Freshman Cypher with Ugly Guy, with X, with Carti, I feel like he could have easily been taken out. Like, he added nothing in my opinion. The highlight of him being in that cypher was him praying when X had his demonic moment. I don't feel like lyrically he has that much to offer. I know he's got a couple hit songs, but I don't see the value in this guy. I don't really see him lasting very long or making music that's going to impact anybody in any significant way. Even one of his most popular songs, Skateboard P, it's mainly hook and no lyrics. And that's not me saying every artist needs to be lyrical. Speaking to his cypher, he had nothing to say. He literally just went again with the vibe, which was not bad, but he didn't have anything really to add. Everything that needed to be added was added from Playboi Carti with his intro. Definitely had a different flow. He definitely had a different cadence. He definitely had a bit of a different delivery, but without much to add, it's like you're expendable. Son of a bitch. You know I gotta put Carti on here. You know I gotta talk about Carti real quick. I'm sorry, not only was your freestyle trash, but your cypher was too. I saw a lot of these reactions and a lot of the people reviewing this cypher and saying that they thought Carti added a lot of hype to it. And I definitely like the way he came in as far as adding energy, but his voice is so under the radar and so low-key. He doesn't add that much vocally. The hype factor is kind of diminished when you realize what he's saying isn't that great. I give him credit for him actually freestyling though, because I feel like at the very least his verse on the Freshman freestyle was completely freestyle, and I feel like this cypher he did a complete freestyle as well. I just feel like he doesn't go out of his way again to give people any type of versatility. I feel like everything he does or says is just trying to be a Magnolia Part 2. I mean, he just kind of lowered my expectation. And speaking of expectation, let's talk about XXXTentacion. See what I did? Okay. A lot of people are ripping on X's freestyle by saying that he completely destroyed the vibe of the cypher, which in my opinion, if there was a vibe, I can agree with you, he killed it. But that does not mean that because he killed the vibe, what he had to say was, I feel like a lot of what X had to say on his cypher didn't go over that well. I definitely wouldn't count it as far as freestyles are concerned when you're comparing it to the others, because X, in my opinion, if you're going to have somebody stop an entire verse or an entire, you're going to have someone stop an entire beat, I don't think that that's fair. You're going against the point of the freestyle, which is to rap completely on beat, continue to rap on beat, continue to show that versatility while you're rapping, have that energy, give more tools, especially when you have other people that have a different way of rapping than you do. You need to sound just as good and show people why you are here. But you stopping the beat and doing whatever you want to do isn't the best way to show that you're one of the best people here to be doing the cypher. You're just doing what you want to do. When it comes to X's lyrics, of course, he's very dark, very ominous, tries to be very deep in discussing things when it comes to religion, depression, apocalyptic thoughts, which triggered me because so many people had a problem with what he said and saying, oh man, I don't mess with that satanic stuff, I can't mess with a sinner. But you'll sit up here and bump Carti stuff, who literally admittedly is dealing drugs in his song Hotter Than My Sock. Ugly God and Madeintyo got on this thing talking about having sex with so many girls, but all of a sudden you guys are religious. I'm not saying I'm not, but I'm just not a hypocrite. I'm not gonna have a problem with this dude's verse and then not have a problem with this dude's verse. I definitely think X's freestyle was very arrogant to say that everybody else at this cypher is essentially peasants, or anyone listening is a peasant, while at the same time trying to say that, oh, I am the importance of an entire religion that many people believe in. I am this guy's son. And to be honest, I feel like everyone in that list, in that cypher, Ugly God, X, Playboi Carti, and Madeintyo were like the worst. Like, that was the worst that the cypher had to offer, and they were all in one video. It wasn't just one guy that was just trash. It was all of them in one video that just was like, ugh! I need some Vernus after that one. Ugly God, again, I thought he was gonna give me something even better than what I was used to. Again, I just said that he was the best of the worst, but I do not think that his was good. I just think that out of everyone there, it's like comparing a bunch of people that all have a different kind of disability, and you're trying to decide which one is the worst to have and which one is the best. X having bipolar, Playboi Carti having Tourette's, Madeintyo having depression, because I don't know if that was a prayer or if he was just extremely disappointed in himself for not doing the best he knew he could, or Ugly God for having short-term memory loss, because this dude literally said, look at my dick, twice in the same verse. Now, to be honest, I'm not taking the biggest jabs at this thing when it comes to the lyrics, but a lot of the people who were doing the cypher, some of them just weren't saying enough for me to be invested lyrically. They didn't have much going for them when it comes to just keeping my eye, keeping my ear, keeping me entertained for the duration of what is just a minute. You know, some of these guys are rapping for 30 to 50 seconds, and you can't even keep my attention for that long. Kap G is another guy on this list that I feel like isn't horrible. I don't dislike Kap G. It's just he just keeps going. I feel like he doesn't know when to stop or when to just slow down for a second and say, okay, where's the beat? Let me hop on it. Let me get to a point where I'm actually flowing along with the music as opposed to just doing my own thing, because he has one vocal tone and that's the only one he decides to use. PnB Rock, he does another thing on here. Again, he's not doing anything crazy. You can definitely tell his wasn't a freestyle. It was definitely written, and then at the latter part where he passes it off to Kap G, he starts to rap and, you know, repeat himself. And that seems to be a common theme with the people who are doing the cypher. When they have something or they don't have anything more to say, they begin to repeat themselves. He had a ton to say when his verse started, but the minute he ends his verse and he doesn't have anything else to say, he passes it off to the next guy and begins repeating himself. Amine, he did pretty well on this thing. I'm not gonna, you know, judge him too harshly. I think his quarterback line was a little corny, pretty cheesy. We don't want to see you do that again, Amine, but he kept his energy. I'm not gonna say he was bad. He wasn't just, you know, he didn't surprise me or shock me or anything like that, but no one really did in this entire cypher. And there were a few people that I expected some things from that I didn't necessarily get. We didn't get any closure when it comes to anybody doing anything different than what they would normally do, with the exception of maybe Ugly God with his freestyle. with the exception of X for stopping the freestyle completely, or the cypher, so he can do his own thing and be extremely arrogant while he's doing it. A Boogie Wit Da Hoodie was cool on this thing. I love Kyle. Kyle honestly was the best person on this list, to be honest, and I thought that he wasn't going to be anything. Coming into this thing, I didn't think Kyle was going to give me anything. I didn't think he was going to entertain me. I didn't think he was going to be, you know, lyrical in any way. I didn't think he would have any witty or funny punchlines, any charisma, but everything that I felt like he wouldn't have, he ended up showing me that he's the only one who mainly was capable of those feats. During his freshman freestyle, during his cypher, he's the only one, in my opinion, that definitely looked comfortable. And nobody can even hate on the fact that he has a speech impediment. Like, it's the easiest thing to look over when you're listening to this guy. He's giving the funniest lines, some of the best bars, and I can't sit up here and say that anything that he had to say wasn't in some way relevant to him in his life, as opposed to some of the other freestyles or the ciphers where people were literally just saying what was in the room or saying what they had on. I don't know. I thought the whole thing was a little lackluster, very underwhelming. I was not impressed at all, and considering how low my expectation was for 2016's XXL Freshman Cypher and the freestyles, I was just impressed with getting any form of entertainment out of last year's list. Knowing Denzel Curry would do what he would do and be lyrical and give something that was very underground-esque during his freestyle in his cypher, it didn't surprise me. Lil Yachty, Lil Uzi, they were having fun. 21 Savage was having fun. Kodak Black was having fun, even though he was trash on there. But he did have a funny line, at least, something entertaining to grab my attention. Look, there's a reason that freestyle or that cypher has like over 50 million views. In some way, it held people's attention for a good amount of time. But I can't see this freestyle being the same way. I mean, this was so boring, like the whole thing. But I do appreciate Kyle for what he did. A Boogie Wit Da Hoodie, Amine, they also did well. They put the best with the best and the worst with the worst, in my opinion, when it comes to the ciphers and, you know, how much entertainment and the replay value any of these videos would have. And to be honest, Kap G, Kamiya, and PnB Rock were literally just the They were the or okay group. You had Playboi Carti, Ugly God, X, and Madeintyo that were just the blah group, like the group that was just like, nah fam, y'all need to stop rapping. Even though I like that X came in the way he did, it's just like you're missing the entire point of this freestyle. And we got you know, the best group, Amine, a Boogie Wit Da Hoodie, and Kyle giving their freestyle, which I thought was great. You know, those would be like the best. X's group the worst, and Kap G's group, you know, very moderate, very lackluster. Could do without it, but not mad that it was included either. I want people to know that although I did enjoy this freestyle, though I did enjoy the cypher, only enjoyed it for a specific part, and I was only mad or not entertained for a specific part. It wasn't the entire thing that was trash, and there wasn't any point in this thing where I felt that I was going to just legitimately turn off the video, other than when Playboi Carti began the cypher. I do understand a lot of people's point when they're talking about X and, you know, how he completely destroyed the fun vibe that they had in the very beginning. But I don't think it's enough to say that he was like the worst person. But hey, if you wanted to put him on there, I couldn't argue with it either. As far as rankings are concerned, I can't give these people individual rankings. They did not entertain me enough for me to put a list on this. But in my opinion, Kyle's first group, that was the best. Kap G, Kamiya, and PnB Rock, that was the most moderate, lackluster kind of group. They weren't horrible, but I could have done without it. And Playboi Carti, X, Ugly God, and Madeintyo, that was definitely the worst of the freestyles I saw this year. Let me know in the comment section down below what it is that you liked about this thing the most, what you hated about it the most, who is your favorite on this thing, who's your least favorite, who you think has the brightest future out of this freshman cypher, and do you feel good knowing that this is over and you don't have to deal with it again until next year? It's been Shawn C. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead and leave a big like rating. This video is brought to you by okay, no. I wish. Thank you guys for watching the video. I'll see you next time. That's all I am. I'm just a disappointed father.